They tell people, like, guys, when you're in the kitchen.
Who's got fish in the background? And then I started feeling bad. Producers said they couldn't hear it on the audio. Then Twitch chat was commenting on it, so then it was degrading the audio quality of the broad. So then I unplugged it. But it still remained there.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, look, that's like when you're in the blast studio and you can hear people in the kitchen moving around plates and everything like that in the background. And they tell people, like, guys, when you're in the kitchen and there's casting going on, can you just be quiet? Yeah. But you still hear some clanging. You know, someone picks up a plate and they drop it. Right. The sound's going to happen. Also, trying to put a noise constraint on players who are in green rooms next door, unless Blaster moved it since I was there, you know, that's a tough one to do as well. So there's always going to be, you know, a bit of background noise, a little bit of ambiance.
That's nice, you know, the background noise, it gives you a little bit of a feel for what the environment is like at the studio, you know?
I just used a soundboard, which I think was revolutionary to the casting
I actually
world.
enjoyed that. I saw a clip, Dinko showed me a clip of you busting out the soundboard on like an Inferno round, like made like some intense music and you just like kind of hype trailered the entire round.
Yeah, maybe it would happen a little bit too often, I would say, especially with like the first games of the day. There was one super silly day. The rest of it was pretty buttoned up, I'd say. Okay. You know, just when you needed a like sometimes you needed one or the crowd, but not so frequent. So I think it's all about less is more with the soundboard.
Yeah, I think, well, also the first time you use it, you're probably all jacked up. You're probably excited about the new feature. Yeah, and you're pumped to just see what you can do with it. So yeah, you're probably chucking it out there a bit too much.
I'm going to buy one of them, though. One of those mixers. I think it's like a Rode Podcaster Pro or something it was called. So if you
have one later.
You got one of those? Oh, gee, he's up. He's walking around.
Well, I have this, which I don't know. Oh, I have a Steam Deck, is essentially what this is. I don't know if you can turn this into an audio thing. I assume you can soundboard it, but it can obviously be used for different overlays and shit.
Now, I'll be honest, I didn't want to get that mixer because of the soundboard. I wanted to get it because of like the interface and everything like that. Because the type of headsets, the one that Dinko let me borrow, and then I also rented one that I have to take back to someone around here in Malta. It was good. Like it makes it super simple. Yeah. So might have to be the investment. You know, I think that this is fine for doing podcasts with, but that type of headset stuff did
for casting
did make you feel like you would Because the hardest thing is waking up in the morning, and I guess it is, I have to wake up even earlier than we were, which is fine. That's just the nature of the beast. But to clear out the sinuses, and I'm not sure why, I was so clogged up the whole time. I've been clogged up since Melbourne. Oh my God, blasphemy. Sorry. But I've been clogged up like that whole time. And it's just that I lost my voice in Melbourne doing the, you know, all the yelling, the caches stuff. And it had been fucked since then, so a bit gruff. And then it's been very... just like this phlegm has been, and I know this is gross and people don't want to hear about it, but when you don't have this, you take it for granted. Yeah. You know, you need to be celebrating the times that you're clear and you're clean and you don't have any, like a layer of phlegm sitting there and you're feeling like shit. Because you feel $1 million when you can breathe properly and you can talk properly. You don't sound like you're underwater. So I'm waiting for it to move. I should probably do something about it. Oh, here he comes.
Here he comes. Oh, okay, yeah, go. We are live. I just want to throw that out there into the universe. We've already started. We just decided to go for it, so welcome.
Great. Thanks for that, Jason. Does my lighting satisfy you now, you asshole?
Your lighting
microphone choice does it.
Yeah, your lighting is fantastic.
What?
It's the microphone that might be the webcam at the moment.
I think it's coming through the webcam right now.
So
this is what we thought would happen.
This is the moment I wanted to create for the audience at home. Now you guys know what it's
having to solve the tech
Oh,
issues,
he's gone. He's gone.
Hope it uploaded, because otherwise they won't get that, you know. So we'll hope we get it all there. But we'll see. It'll be a fun interjection from us. You're using a Keep Cup from Cologne, Germany.
Yeah, dude, I have like 8 of these. I have like 5 of these small. There he is.
Try again.
How's Astana?
Talk, 1, 2, 3. Astana is very warm.
Very warm.
I think this hotel thinks air conditioning really means just pumping air, but without cooling it first. Like, I've never been in a warmer room in my life. I'm sleeping like shit.
Not been conditioned.
They like offer me to go to a different room on the other side of the hotel where it's not scorching hot. I have blinds 24/7. I have seen the sun once in 5 days. I don't know, and it's the same in every room. I've talked to 5 different people. Everyone is hot in their rooms. They're just trying to save money on electricity, I guess. They don't want it to pump in people's rooms. As soon as I walk out of my room, it's like 30% cooler. It's actually kind of maddening. I think we're all part of some social experiment. I'm not really sure.
I had the same thing recently when I did Blast for the group stage. The hotel rooms were so warm, and that's when it had just started to be like sunny-ish days again. And people would go down and they'd ask, and they're like, "Oh no, the aircon's broken." And you know that it's bang on with what you said. They just don't want to put the power on at that point in time because it's like, oh, it hasn't hit the point that we consider summer. So
dude, if it makes you feel any better, boys, we're about to be in Dallas, and we know that AC works. That AC cranks.
I'll get sick as soon as I get there because of the difference in the AC. I just already know everything that's going to happen. It's fine. But I did the thing. I asked him about, can maybe send the engineer to check if it's like, and the dude comes in and like turns the knob. And it's like, hi, okay. And then puts his arms up on the thing and like, see, like, there's air flowing. I'm like, yes, but this is not cooling the room. Like,
if it's not gonna cool the room.
Also, he doesn't speak English, so it was just like a thumbs up. I'm like, yeah, thumbs up, I guess, man. You earned your paycheck today.
That's like the turning if you tried turning it on and off again type.
Exactly. It's actually even worse. He didn't even turn it off and then on. He just sort of turned the knob, which yes, I have tried turning it to lower temperature, right? Just doesn't really do much, sir.
Yeko, could you do me one quick favor as we continue? Can you point your webcam a little bit further down for ease of editing purposes? I know. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be like a
Imagine if he fucks the webcam again.
I know.
He has to go, oh, now I'm going to go get a webcam for Richard. And you go, come back, you fucked that. He's got to go get one from Maui.
That's great right there. You're great. There
it's definitely better.
It's better.
It's better for sure.
I'll sit up for you, Jason.
You don't have to sit up. It's just you had a lot of empty space at the top, and for editing reason, it makes it difficult to make all of our heads the same size so we don't look all weird in these webcam boxes. Because, we're a webcam podcast now, so...
We're a 3-box.
Yeah, 3-boxer.
We're confined to the 3 boxes. Maybe sometimes a 4th.
Well, how's...
Never a 5th.
Never a 5th.
So, yeah, we're going to KBBQ tonight because tomorrow is just rehearsals, I don't know, in the afternoon. So everyone's going. It's going to be a large group.
Has the city been nice? Great. Have you seen the city? Because I wanted to go to Astana and see the place.
Jason, I haven't seen the sun, let alone the city. But
right.
Why
probably tomorrow. Probably tomorrow, maybe. Tomorrow's going to be 35 degrees, of course.
That's a nice day, though.
Scorching hot outside, somehow even warmer in my room, so might as well.
Put some sunscreen on, you'll be all right.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll have
put
to
a hat on, put
some
sunnies on, slip, slop, slap, we call it in Oz. You sit in the shade.
Yeah, people are raving about the botanical gardens. Apparently everyone cares about flowers now all of a sudden, so maybe we'll go and see that. It's like hearing these motherfuckers talk about the botanical garden. It's like, what the fuck are you on about? I guess if you want to sit on a bench in a park, cool, but you don't care about flora.
Or fauna, for that matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like Yankees having a great time.
I know. I'm afraid to ask.
I took a nap. I got to take a 20-30 minute nap. I got switched again to the morning shift for this last day. And again, it's very warm, so I wake up in the middle of the night a couple of times.
Just sweating a little bit.
It's all right.
Yeah, okay.
How's the event itself? How's the event itself on the ground? Chad and I have a different experience.
Yeah, for us it's super smooth. I mean, there was no there was no delays or anything. It's just, I love accelerated schedule is goated when you're on the ground. I know, Jason, for you it's kind of hellish.
Yesterday was
here.
Rough.
It's awesome. Here it's awesome. It's just like there's no bullshit. Just do the games, talk about the games, and that's it. Just do your job. I think it's awesome how quickly you can bang them out.
Yeah.
Bang them out, Jason.
Bang them out.
Jason, I have a question for you before we get into the thick of the Counter-Strike. And this one might be a little bit touchy, and if you don't want to answer, you don't have to answer. Sure. You can just say, move on. We'll talk about something else. Now, I did see a comment. I'm not sure where it was. Could have been a Reddit thread. Could have been a Spotify comment. Could have been a YouTube comment.
As if you check the Spotify comments, Chad.
And people were mentioning your beard.
Okay.
Now, there's accusations flying around that you may be dyeing your beard. How do you respond to said accusations?
I mean, it's patently absurd. Well, first of all, if I'm going to dye my beard, does no one see this giant gray patch of aging happening on my beard? If I was dyeing
Not when you're casting.
What am I doing? Dyeing around here and leaving this little patch down here just for the fun of it? No, I don't dye my beard. It's just, I'm in a phase of, I set out to just grow the beard and move past and get past the itchy, annoying phase where I historically always shave it off. I've just toughed it out, so it's just thick right now because I haven't trimmed it in like a month.
Thick for summer.
Thick for summer, which makes sense.
Well, I'm glad that we could get to the bottom of that.
I've seen that too.
There's an effect on camera, though.
What's that?
There's an effect like on camera
where it looks like blacker.
When you cast, yeah.
I think my lighting.
What's that effect called, Jason? I didn't know about that one.
Jesus Christ, we're walking right into the lion's den here. Yeah, no, it does. I think the lighting downstairs for this remote broadcast in my studio wasn't perfect. So yeah, the beard did look extremely dark for the show. But I think, I don't dye my beard. Come on, boys.
Okay.
I've been hit with.
I mean, for a guy who took the L on the hair, you're not gonna dye your beard.
Yeah, I've been bald for 10 years, and I'm known for getting hit in the face with a cream pie. I have a subreddit dedicated to cream pie Photoshop, so as if I'm gonna be a little self-conscious about some gray in my beard.
King of the pies, we call him.
King of the pies.
King of the pies.
Chad, I do have a question for you.
Oh no.
All right, as an expert on show matches.
Yes.
What do you think about this lineup for Team PGL that's going to go up against Team Vinline?
Okay,
Maui,
Maui,
Onepixel, Hugo, Harry, and Blair.
Who's on win line?
Mo, Adren, Dmitry Lix, Bratishnikov, and Booster. These three guys are streamers, I guess.
That Buster.
Yeah, but not Buster, the Kazakh, but Buster, the owner of Gun 5.
Oh, okay.
Guns or whatever.
Yeah. Who's the fifth?
Bratishkinov.
Oh,
Who's
he's
that?
well known.
I don't know, some streamers.
He's
I'm
from the
mostly
region.
asking you, Chad, about the English lineup, right? Like you
but that's
with
the
those
thing.
guys.
I need to know who they're up against if they can take it. I think the core that you've got there of Maui Snake alongside Harry and Hugo, that can be a strong core.
That's a strong trio.
I think between those three, right, as long as the three of them are able to get their maximum contributions, I'd give them a chance to get across the line. I think, you're going to have a tough time with Onepixel because he's a Vertigo stan and there's no Vertigo, so I'm not really expecting him to offer up too much. He's probably going to try and troll, or he's going to try hard, one of the two. And then with Blair in the mix, if you can put him on a site to anchor, he can be good for one. So I think that really we're going to be looking at Maui, Hugo, and Harry. That's going to be the star trio of this team. In terms of who's going to be AWPing, I'm not sure. I can't really comment on that. And I think there'll be an in-game leader trust. It'll be Hugo, Byron, and Maui probably combining to call the round, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say Hugo, Byron taking him out of spawn and maybe Maui doing some more of the mid-round style.
Yeah, and I also think, what's the confidence level going to be coming out from Harry Russell? He's a bit of a talismanic player when it comes to show matches. He's either there or he's not. And I know that the crowd can get the better of him. And it will be a hostile crowd in this environment. So it wouldn't be the first time we've seen Harry crumble. He's been kicked off stage by Yanko before. But we're going to need a better performance from him this time around.
I think Blair's going to get a little nervous on the stage as well. I think Blair, on the big stage in front of the people is going to have a tough time. He's going to get nervous for sure.
Those lights are bright. Yeah, no, look, I don't think Harry's necessarily been in form lately because he's had a lot going on. So
and just a mismatch in inexperience, And Adren and Mo, you got them coming back, major winners. They're playing for pride. They're coming to this is kind of like this is their Super Bowl. They've been retired now for a few years, and they need to show the Kazakh scene that they're here to party. Adren just started that whole new organization, and how are you going to get players to come to that organization if you can't beat the analysts and the casters of the event?
And the streamers too.
And the streamers.
So what more can you say about that? When you said Super Bowl, Jason, it activated my trap card, right? So day one of Astana, I started things off with Alex. Well, we were on the secondary stream at the start of every day. But the way that I kind of categorized the event when we were just before any of the matches had gone down, I had made a list of all the names and I had put teams into these categories, right? So I'm going to go through this now, and I'll go from bottom to top. And hopefully we can talk about things as we go through here. So I had Cinderella stories. If either of these two teams went on a run, it would have been a Cinderella run, right? It was either Hotu or Otic because these guys weren't teams that we were putting any stock in whatsoever coming into this event. Hotu played like it was just a fucking pug the entire time, which was crazy to watch, just like face it unfolding live.
Bro, before we go on, I actually thought Hotu on day 2 and 3 played some cool Counter-Strike.
What did you think that was cool about it, man?
Well, I mean, I they actually looked like they had setups and protocols and were actually trying to play some team-based Counter-Strike. Because I casted them on day one, and they looked like a god-tier trash pug. I don't know if that doesn't make any sense. A shit-tier trash pug. They just looked like horribly lost, and like all they had was like individual plays and skill, and if it didn't work, it didn't work, and the round was over. But days 2 and 3, they actually played some really cool Counter-Strike. They played Aurora really close. I didn't see them on day 4 get eliminated. I just saw the scoreline.
Day 4, they look like day 1.
Okay. Yeah, days 2 and 3, for whatever reason, they actually looked like they were playing some cool Counter-Strike. There was some fun things from them.
They could shoot.
Yeah.
Like, they could definitely shoot. That was a factor. Like, the individuals would hit hard. There was a lot of W Counter-Strike, like pushing smokes on timings that the opponent wouldn't expect. It's very frustrating. But otherwise, other than some good individual moments, I don't think was a foundation there that was truly competitive. It was a little bit more like shock and awe. At least that's how I felt. Like, they definitely felt like W Counter-Strike players.
Yeah. I'm with you. But I mean, there was some. I liked Kato and Yuka especially. I think those 2 players were kind of cool. They were fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, nothing crazy.
Good deagles.
Yeah.
Good deagles, hitting lots of like deagles. Like aim was definitely on point. No problems there. And the other one in that category was Odic. Odic got eliminated today by Aurora, and they were in a 2-2 game. I think the thing for Odic that was strange was they versed the 2 teams who had coaches standing in, and that was 2 of their wins. Actually, that was their only 2 wins. Yeah. So that kind of means nothing, to be completely fair. I didn't mind. I think K-Slox was okay from that team. But yeah, otherwise they didn't do that. So they were in the Cinderella run category. The next one I had, and this one's going to be crazy because I reckon once we jump in here, we might have some things to say. And I want to hear Yanko say it. Temperature check. I had MIBR, M80, and Virtus Pro.
Kiyosuke.
Those are teams who are qualified for the major, who we kind of want to see where they're at this event for how they could potentially perform at the major. For M80... that's an embarrassing fucking loss to G2 Coach, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's been an embarrassing year for them, I think, so far. To be honest with you,
it's been pathetic, mate. Like that, losing to look. I said it on the cast infinite amount of times. Taz is a legend of the game. He's a major winner, right? I was watching him play 1.6 when his team was one of the best teams in the world, if not the best team in the world. Like I have the utmost respect for the guys playing against him when they were known as the Plow. I was even still casting them. I was analyzing them when they were, still getting the most out of that
Sputtering.
5. Yeah, at the end of 2016, 2017, right? And he can play. Like, there's no disrespect to Taz whatsoever, but it's still the coach, not one of the starting players. Not even a stand-in that is a player actively playing for like 8 to 10 hours a day. Like the coach. And they beat multiple teams. Like, M80, Def described it as a horror show.
Yeah, it should be. I'm glad he has that kind of honesty, too, as the coach.
Yeah, I didn't get to catch any of their games, unfortunately, but yeah, just from the results. Okay, sure, I mean, they played Navi, VP, G2, but when you take into account how, VP didn't make the playoffs in the end, G2 had Taz playing, it's like you need to get something done there. At least it's unfortunate because it feels like they've regressed. They came from a boot camp as well in Belgrade. They're going back there again, so we'll see if they'll be able to sort of work on the mistakes and just come back stronger for the major, because there's not really that much time left.
There wasn't really any silver lining.
I think also, Chad, what you said, Odic, when they beat Pain, DGT was already here. Like, Pain lost their last 2 games to Odic and MIBR with DGT. He arrived. Like, he was just not there for the
first day or 2, I think. He wasn't there on the first
2 days. Like, he wasn't there for the Astralis game and the Hotu
that's right.
game.
I even casted that game. Yeah, because so the way that started, it was on Anubis' first map, and it started with DGT like owning. He was like 12-0 at one point in that game, and he was having a lot of impact. And then they ended up simmering out on Anubis. That he cooled, and the team just looked mid and disjointed. And then Nuke as well. So I mean, NQZ. That's right. He was a non-starter on either map. Like, he was fucking absent.
Yeah, I mean,
completely absent.
We casted their elimination game against MIBR yesterday, and it was just like they started train up 6-0, and then lost. And then MIBR went at a 13-1 run, and then they started Mirage up 5-1, and then they lost 13-8. So like they just like had these like really nice hot starts, and then just got smashed. He wasn't even close after that.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was cool seeing. Did you guys read that Fallen interview on HLTV? Because it was cool hearing him talk about like what we've been discussing so much about the Brazilian scene, about like we all know the buyout situation, but it was cool seeing Fallen sort of talk about it and point towards moments that they've like tried to get certain people. out of teams.
I didn't read it, no.
Just impossible. I mean, he basically said the last time that Brazil was able to put together the best possible team in Brazil was 2016 when he got Taco and FNX and Zeus to come over to SK Gaming or Luminosity at the time. And he said that was the last time that Brazil was able to get all the players on the same team. So he's basically just gone like, you know, we tried to get Queserado at some point and Yuri, that was never going to happen. We try to get players now, it's not going to happen. And basically he just said everything that we've kind of been, he just echoed all the sentiments that we've talked about with the scene. So that was cool.
Well, I guess that's why they're on an international squad right now, right? They had to make a choice, and that's the one they made. And for Furia, it seems to be paying off. It seems to be like the fact you made the playoffs. I know there's omissions with some of these rosters and stuff, but it's a good result regardless.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not a worst case. It's not they didn't go 0-3. They did not make playoffs.
The car did not crash. If you were looking for the car to crash, it has not crashed yet.
Yeah. Who else
Who else is in your temp check category?
MIBR and Virtus Pro I had. So for Virtus Pro, more embarrassment, I guess, again. Using that word a lot. I don't know what it is, right? They have... No, I do know what it is. I don't know why I said I don't know what it is. They just... From my perspective, I don't think they play on meta Counter-Strike.
Okay.
I think a lot of their ideas are too different to what works with the best teams. I think they're trying to do a playstyle that I can't even explain the playstyle. I just think the way that they do things, it doesn't feel that's what the top teams would be doing.
In what way? Like too slow, too tactical, too much like just kind of lollygagging around the map? Like when I watch them play, I feel like the players that they have don't have the ability to like utilize, like they don't have any freedom to like make a decision or make a play in their particular role.
I reckon Flit does a lot. Like Flit definitely from what I was casting felt like he was making good decisions or decisions that were impacting like opening kills. But I don't know, like Ancient, their T side, their approach, like they're getting out mid and they're waiting, like they're waiting a decent amount of time. Sometimes they're not fighting for B lane or mid control at all, which I don't have a problem with. But they don't even feel like they're softening them up with nades if they know that they're going for crunches and stuff. It's just it feels a little bit on a weird tempo. But I know, like what else could be the problem when you have, let's just say you have Flit, Fame, and Flammus, right? Like you have a really strong rifling core there. So then is it really just electronic? Like, what are we pinning on?
I don't know. He's like been saying in a lot of these interviews that, you know, Flammus and IC need to find their confidence. They need to, you know, play with more confidence, which basically tells me that he maybe feels they don't take enough initiative at times on their own, right? When the space is there to be taken, that they don't go and take it. And if you play that default heavy style, you know, a slower style, you need to be able to do that. You need to put pressure on the opponents to bait out their nades. Because let's say if, I don't know, Flammus is in Boiler, right? And there's a banana fight and a lot is going on there and they're playing more passive on A. He needs to put some pressure to bait out the nades so you avoid, if you want to come back to A with 40 seconds left, 30 seconds left, they still have a smoke and molly, right? Like in a most basic sense of it. And I'm not trying to put the blame on them, like that's what it sounds like from some of the interviews. I think definitely the approach could be better, a little bit more aggressive at times. I don't have a problem with slow default style. Like that's how majority of the teams play 70%, 80% of the rounds on their T side. But the problem is when you're not putting enough pressure, you know, you're just like chilling instead of taking space that's being given to you, right? And then you find yourself in these tough spots when there's not a lot of time left on the clock. You get blocked, and that's when everything starts to turn to shit, right? A lot of these rounds kind of sort of make sense, and then all of a sudden you see, wait, but how are they blocked with this much time? Well, that's because they weren't really putting enough pressure, and then what can you do? You can flash through the smoke and go break the smoke and go. All those options are bad at that point in time, or rotate to the other side, which is kind of obvious, easy to read, and also not a good option.
When you say that, then that coming from Electronic, and he's the one who also chews people out when they don't do things the way that he fucking wanted them to do it, right? So there might be a bit of fear factor in those players from doing the things, getting yelled at by the captain.
I mean, that's a real thing for sure. And I mean, whatever, if it's maybe there's not enough trust from Electronic to give his players that kind of freedom, so he has them on more of a leash because he feels like he has to yell at them and fix their mistakes too often.
You can't want them to be taking more initiative and willing to fucking.
And then wrecking them when they go for it and it doesn't work, right? Like, yeah,
exactly.
You need to find ways to like help them, you know, facilitate those kinds of plays.
And I think they probably need, you know, some sort of a performance coach, sports psychologist, whatever it may be, because I feel like every tournament they start off with a loss. Like, you know, the first game of the tournament, they're always slow to get into it. I don't know. Probably something to be said about the way Electronic interacts with its teammates. Like, you know, he's a bit more old school. Obviously, the Navi lineup with Simple, you know, they had a way to communicate with each other. And, you know, even when you look at Navi now, like, it can be fine if everyone's on the same page. But if some of the guys are, like, just not built that way, and that's how you interact with them, you know, it can cause them to sort of go into their shell and kind of get a little bit emo. Then their energy goes down, the communication isn't as good, right? The energy just isn't there anymore. So you need to be careful about that when there's new guys coming in, especially younger players in a way. So I think they could benefit from that, because on paper there is a decent amount of skill and firepower where they could be doing more with what they have.
They could benefit from I'm with you. They could benefit. I don't look at that team and think that they're like, I don't think Electronic as the leader of that team would put a whole lot of stock in like a mental coach, a performance coach, to be honest with you. And that's I don't have any like insight into that, just from his personality, from interactions. I feel like he'd be one of those guys who is like, this is some stupid voodoo shit.
Well, I mean, maybe just time has passed him in that case. You know, you adapt or die. I mean, you know, because this was his sort of final shot, it feels like, in Tier 1. And sure, there's still the major coming around the corner, but, you know, they've had 4 coaches in a year, right? Like, there's been changes in that department too.
It's a name.
So I don't. I don't know. I think it will be very clear whether they have faith in him or whether he is the problem after the major is over and the off-season comes, because definitely there's a lot of talent and just players in general in the CIS region, so I don't think making a change would be difficult for Virtus Pro if they did want to make one.
So how does this sound, right? So I never really asked these questions because there's so much nuance to it, and we also don't have enough detail on the personality or whatnot. But do you guys think that Boomich would do a better job in-game leading this Virtus Pro roster than Electronic does?
Oh, holy shit.
Big Boom, yeah.
I bet it'd be a wash, to be honest with you.
Well, that's the thing, though, right? Do you think you're getting enough fragging output from Electronic as the in-game leader to justify?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
no,
because
probably not.
He's the lowest rated. Like, his performances have become a lot more up and down. He can still have good games where he delivers, but you can see that the in-game leadership has taken a toll on him being a star rifler. Now you look to, well, you've always looked to Flit within this roster, but Flit, Fame, and Flammus. And Flammus doesn't play all of the favorable positions, so he's even been put in a bit of a box there too. Whereas I think like Boomich would take long anchor if it meant that Flammus got to be a rotating rifler, whereas Electronic won't do that.
I think even without considering the in-game kind of factors of it, I guess if you're within that organization, you're like the GM or the owner of the team, again, and this is kind of that nuance that we don't have all the details to, but if you're getting the feeling from your coaches, your other players, your staff, or just from, you know, looking at the team, that it's more of like, what if it's like an Electronic attitude that feels like it's the most negative thing in the environment? In that case, like the Boomich change, just not even game related, might be a boost. If you get someone in there that makes the team environment and that everyone feel a lot more comfortable, you might just get a natural boost out of that.
Yeah, I think that would be the first change I'd be looking for, but I'd also be looking for an AWP change as well.
Yes.
I just don't think Ice is good enough. Like, I think he has some moments, but I don't think he's good enough.
I don't think he's hit the developmental peak in his time in Virtus Pro to, like, you know, warrant sticking with him for long. Like, he hasn't bought more time for himself, I don't think.
I also wouldn't say that I would just get somebody like Zorti over him. Like, I wouldn't just go, oh, yeah, no, I'll just get, like, it feels like you'd want the AWPer to be significantly better. And do you think that you could get a personality like Degster to work in that team? Then it's a completely different looking VP altogether.
I wouldn't even be against VP doing like the fucking Furia style Hail Mary and just bringing Degster in for the major, like right, if I don't know if they can, but like right now, like make it happen.
I think it's even past the
It might be past the
for
point,
the rosters. But Dexter and Boomich for IC and Electronic.
Yeah, Flip Fame, Flamus.
Sounds pretty good. NGL.
Yeah, not bad. Okay, the other one I had in that list was MIBR, who did just qualify by beating Virtus Pro, but they're still just MIBR. Like, you know,
they're still just a Brazilian team.
I'm
like
really.
They're still 2 roster changes away from being like relevant.
Every Brazilian team has gotten boring to talk about because it's just been the same thing for the past 2 to 3 years.
Well, I guess the framing of like a temperature check for the major out of the 2 other teams I had in that category, M80 and Virtus Pro, I guess MIBR come out on top of that pack by making the playoffs. They're in slightly better form.
Yeah,
None of these teams are in good form. M80 is in miserable form. VP's in normal form, and MIBR is in there also maybe slightly than better.
Yeah.
Slightly better than usual form.
I mean, the problem is, like, if you look at these teams that you have in this temp check group that you just listed off, if they face off against each other, do you feel like there's any strong favorite either way? Like, all of them kind of feel like they could be, I mean, mostly like 50-50, 60-40 kind of games. Like, I don't know who I'd pick, MIBR or Virtus Pro. Like, that feels like it could be a coin toss.
Yeah, no, my point, I guess, overall, is like going into nothing really changes with these teams.
Yes.
Unless MIBR has a really strong playoff run, which we will have to wait and see. So we can definitively talk about M80 and VP, but we have to wait for MIBR.
They can win 1 game, Chad, because they're playing Furia in the quarterfinal, and then it's the winner of Spirit and IP. So they cannot beat Spirit, and it's just that, you know, their ceiling is same as Shanghai, right? Like, they can win a best of 1 if someone has a live game like Insani did on that Inferno and they beat Navi, right? And that's pretty much it. They're not going to do any significant damage in best of 3. They're not going to make the playoffs, right? It's just going to be more of the same. Like, it's just too many average players on these teams. Like
who can all have moments, but yeah.
Well, Lucasi
exactly. They can all, you know, but they cannot consistently perform on a high level and probably not at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So there's just too many teams that are just better, and all these teams, no one plays some different sort of brand on Counter-Strike to try to make up for the lack of those players. They all just try to play the same way, and you know, it's not gonna be successful.
I wouldn't put them going from stage 2 to stage 3.
No.
Yeah. No.
Well, also, I mean,
I want to probably have Brazilian teams at 0-3 in every fucking stage that I can put it.
You know, I think just blanket
I
statement.
can't anymore.
Just
I
calling
can't anymore, man.
Calling his shots ahead of time.
I just can't anymore.
I think
at least the Asian teams, at least the Chinese come up with something, you know. At least there's something there when you watch them. Even a pop-off or anything. They become the most boring region to watch. Like, can you imagine saying that a couple of
Draft
years ago?
5 headline is going to be massive.
I might have to make a timestamp. Like, Yanko
directly
trashes the entire Brazilian scene. Just picks them apart limb by limb.
I'm like 180. Oh dear. Oh shit! It doesn't count if I'm the one doing the. Never mind.
You know, it's a. I mean, the Lucasi edition was supposed to propel this team into like the ability to compete at tier 1, and it feels like it wasn't nearly as good as advertised. It's kind of just made them a little bit better within like the top 20 teams rather than pushing them into the top 10.
Yeah, it hasn't changed the status quo enough to change the conversation.
Yeah, like it probably did make them better just incrementally.
Enough of these false prophets from Brazil, man. Like, people were hyping up Snow as if he is the next, I don't know who, man. He's just like okay-ish.
He's fine.
I don't know. I don't know if he's playing out of position or whatever. Like, some people are saying he's more aggressive. I don't know. I don't really
So
care.
he was in his previous teams before he was picked up. I know they switched his roles when he came in. I haven't like kept track of it to notice like if it's adapted or changed at all over the years.
Also, I mean, they had like they have Lux and Cows, and then 6 months later they're both gone. It's like how are you gonna be excited about this team where the players they pick up, do they do well, like what goes wrong? Like do you talk to these players? Do you watch their games? Like what goes south once you pick him up? Now Lux is in Legacy and he was doing pretty well IGLing there, right? Like, so
yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of wow. That's why let's not waste any more time.
Well, So we just got under Pain, so we don't have to waste time talking about them. But the category that I had them in, and this was because of the coach situation that did get rectified in the tournament, was I had them under Freak Shows. So I had 3 teams in Freak Shows.
I like it.
Furia, because they just got international. G2, because they have Hades and they had Taz because Hunter wasn't there. And Pain, because Rix had to stand in again, but this time for a different player. So Pain kind of worked himself out of that because old mate DGT was able to get there and play matches, but they still didn't qualify. So they don't really need too much to be said. It's just that Pain of... If you look at Pain's win-loss history, it's terrible, but it's plagued by these stand-in situations. So measuring it is not even... It's not fun.
Yeah. But I really want to see, you know, where they will end up in the ranking, let's say, after, you know, the season, for example, or after or before the major, because they've been last in so many events, they've lost so many games, so many series.
They're hemorrhaging.
Surely they will be out of the invites cycle, right? If not, there's something terribly wrong with all.
Where are they now? I'm having a look right now. Pain. Right now they are 19, so they're under. So they are dropping, right? So they're definitely dropping and quite rapidly. Whereas a team like NIP have skyrocketed up the rankings now, right? They're like 24th. So the NIP with I guess the test case that we were all looking to see how far you can make it in one season. And they started poorly. They tried to do this Jack's loophole and they weren't getting wins. But finally they started to piece it together. They qualified like through the open qualifiers to get to this event, and now they're in the playoffs. So they've done it the hard way. But that's good. It shows the confidence. So within a season, now you're in contention at 24th in the world for invites. If they stay where they are now, come next season, they'll get an invite to Bounty, which is 32 teams, right?
Yeah.
You know, so there's also Cologne that they could get an invite to. It would probably be touch and go, but yeah. So there are events now that they can.
That's soon though. No, it's like the first week of June that those invites go out, or how long before the event?
I'm not sure.
Does it
I don't have the exact.
Is it like 60 days or something?
It could be 2 months. Yeah, I think it's 2 months.
If it's 60 days, then it's like in a week or like in 10 days.
Yeah. So maybe they get to play learn playing. So that could be fun. So just to tie up the category, G2 and Furia. Should we get the G2 one done quickly? There's not a lot we have to say here.
Yeah, we can. I mean, I don't know what you want. It's going to be a case study in how you turn around an organization that was looking awesome a year ago, that was contending for trophies, to now being in this situation where you're just flat and playing with a coach and a stand-in, and it's gross.
I think it's probably the worst environment to have to play in for actually pretty much everyone on that team. Like for Hades, he only has like 3 events with the team that's undergoing changes. He's going to go through more changes to sort of showcase his
And there's already been rumors of them, you know, chasing after another full-time offer.
Yeah, exactly. Who is definitely better than him, right? There's no doubt about that. So you have him in that situation. You have Snacks, who's also most likely being replaced. I mean, I don't see a world in which G2 willingly keeps him on the roster. Taz, the same thing. So the leadership of the team is changing. And now you also had you're doing all these things, like you're trying your best, but you know these changes are going to be so significant, right? And then, I mean, for Malbs and Heavybot, they're still sort of getting experience in Tier 1, getting reps, which is like, in a way, fine, because that's going to be good no matter what, but still, to have to go through that in a dysfunctional team might put a big dent in their confidence.
Can I offer a counterpoint to the Malbs one here?
Yeah.
Because Malbs, I agree on one side, but also something that I noticed in the series that I did of G2, where he was owning on Dust 2 and Mirage, he had criticized himself publicly for his performances this year, and I thought maybe playing in this environment, still against good teams, relieves a pressure valve. I don't think you're getting optimal practice or officials because the situation is not optimal, but for him as a star player, or meant to be a star player in those roles, not worrying about the result, because you're just the whole event will just be explained away of, we didn't have our 5, our coach had to stand in. So for me, it kind of felt like it removed a little bit of pressure from him to perform a bit more freely.
Yeah, maybe, but he had a poor first 2 days, and you know, I mean, some of the damage has already been done to him at the start of this year. Like, this whole season has been a nothing burger for G2. Like, there's nothing positive about. There's not going to be anything positive about this first half of the year for them. right? It's just been wasted away, right? There's plenty of blame to go around it anyway. But
We love blame.
We do love blame.
We love blame.
Particularly when it's not being in my direction. When it's other directions, it's really cool.
Yeah, but I think overall, just a wasted event for G2.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a wasted event and one that
at least they don't
does
have to
more
worry
damage.
about coming on time to Dallas. They have plenty of time to get to Dallas on time.
Yeah. Shout out to Taz, who did put in some admirable performances considering.
I saw him have
some impactful rounds.
I saw him have a couple good maps of impacts.
Yeah.
He was okay. I do have to say just about Taz that I do think G2 should move on, but I don't think that means he has to be done as a coach, right? I think it's
What's his first foray?
yes, it's a tough situation like to be put in. I know it very well when you go to a team, your first coaching gig, and it's a team that's like there to win championships, right? And just the situation that you're going into, maybe you're thinking, you know, just the CS or whatever that I'll focus on and whatnot, or maybe it's the opposite, but just you're very surprised by what the job ends up being compared to what you think it is. And I think he definitely learned a lot of lessons from this G2 stint, you know, from dealing with star players and all of that stuff to having younger players and lacking a star player on your roster and whatnot. So I think he can definitely bounce back in the future and still be a good coach, but it does feel like his time in G2 has come to an end, you know, just with everything that's been going on and some of the missed opportunities and whatnot, that it makes sense for G2 to move on. And especially, I mean, if they're able to get someone like Saw, I think at this point it's really a no-brainer that it's an upgrade for them.
Like we spoke about before, that helps future-proof G2 as well, right? Like getting a coach like that who has a good track record of dealing with, you know, younger players and bringing them up. Whereas, I think that's a fair sentiment. Okay, Furia. Now this is one that's a fun one, isn't it, lads? Yakinda and Molodoi alongside of Rifling Fallen, Yuri and K-Serrado.
Rifling Anchor Fallen.
And he did a great job.
Yeah.
I don't know where he ended up in the stats, but I think he every time I was watching a Fallen game, it felt like he was doing a bang-up job.
Bro, they were from 1.12 on K-Serrato to 1.08 on Molodoi. Like, they're all in between that too, so they're all, like, sort of
playing well
around that 1.1 level, which is, you know, good for them that everyone's contributing and everyone doing their job. I think Yakinda, obviously, the way he plays on any team is going to be, a lot of it is going to depend on him and how successful he is. One of the main reasons why they made the playoffs. Him playing well.
Yeah, I think Molodoi is always fun to watch, right? Being one of these new up-and-coming AWPers that they've taken a risk on, and he had a couple of flashes where it's like, okay, you can see like with a nice little 4K on the AWP and the way that he moves around the map, and it's not just. But he is going to have, and we should make sure, because we have recent things in history to be able to frame this with, like ultimate.
Ora, un scatto FPSore della Chrome, ok. Să optimizezi neapărat asta. Când dau tab în scatto FPSore. Ce cu de căcat.
I'm outdoors. Under you. Lower tunnel and heaven.
1 HP lower and mid. Last 1 HP.
Probably out mid.
We have bomb?
Should be 1 HP. just go together.
Watch out. These boys have got a bit of an arsenal and they don't mind using it. Smoking. Deploying flash. Deploying flash.
Jag tog lång.
Grenade. Incendiary out. Throwing fire.
One first. One side.
Side one. Push some.
Grenade out. Defusing.
AK on long.
All right. All right.
Can I get drop? Thank you.
Thank you.
Dar ce tropurile astea de FPS-uri cu aia? Că nu înțeleg de ce face așa cantar.
Throwing fire. Throwing flashbang. Fire in the hole. Flashbang. Incendiary. Smoke. Throwing smoke. Smoke.
Ce are, mă?
2 more mid.
Throwing flashbang. Incendiary. Flashbang.
Apartment one. Out B.
Out mid.
Grenade out.
Hai că pe stream-ul.